Good evening and welcome back to 49 News for our third show of the spring semester. We'll be catching you up on University of Delaware news, local news, and some worldwide news. I'm Casey Hampshire.
And I'm Michael Stoll. Thank you for joining us tonight. 49 News starts right now. This May, Matt O'Donnell, UD alum and co-anchor of Action News Mornings in Philadelphia, will return to the University of Delaware to deliver this year's commencement address to the graduating class of 2025. O'Donnell graduated from the university's College of Arts and Sciences in the spring of 1994 and has built upon his impressive career in journalism through reporting on stories locally, nationally, and internationally. Saturday, May 24th will be the University of Delaware's 175th commencement ceremony and is only open to graduating students and their invited family and friends. Newark residents will be pleased to note that their town, according to rentcafe.com, has made it into the top 100 college towns in the United States. Based on categories such as academics, air quality, and cost of living, the University of Delaware comes right behind Columbia, Missouri, home of the University of Missouri, taking a respectable 42nd place. The new replacement building for McKinley Lab is officially finished after a fire destroyed the original building 8 years ago. Standing in the spot is the multifaceted Research and Classroom Science Building. Still unnamed and currently known as Building X, reporter Casey Nyman went to check it out.
Out with the old and in with the new. Walking towards the green, you might have noticed this semester that the hustle and bustle of construction is finally gone, and it's been replaced with a sleek, modern building. This new spot has been a mystery on UD's campus for the last few years, and its ambiguous name, Building X, only added to its elusiveness. Well, students can now check out the science building that replaced the old McKinley Lab, which was destroyed in a fire in 2017. Dr. Tanya Roth, the Associate Dean of Natural Sciences and a professor of psychological and brain sciences, has been here throughout the whole process, from being a McKinley fire witness to helping put the new Building X plans into fruition.
I remember literally running into the building with the smoke pouring out of it just to make sure my students, had gotten out. And, quite a journey to go from, had the fire, right? And then McKinley gets demolished, and then Building X comes up, and then we start moving folks into this building.
The new space is everything you'd expect of a science research lab space. It's sleek, clean, and industrial, with a number of lab spaces and classrooms. In total, the 4 floors host over 35 teaching and research labs, over 35 faculty offices, 25 grad student workspaces, and a few conference and meeting rooms.
Right, so what is amazing about this building is, the students actually get to come back together and actually see one another and get that sense of community that's just been gone for so long.
There's also some extremely interesting stuff happening within these walls, which Dr. Roth said is split into 3 branches of research. There's the Mind, Brain, and Behavior Department, Mechanisms of Diseases, also known as Biological Sciences Department, and Physics and Astronomy, who are the people who study crazy things like quantum science. Not only is Building X the host to some amazing research studies, but it's also a great place for students who are looking for a quiet place to do some work. Throughout the building, there are tons of nooks for students to lock in on their work and studying, and they offer some great views of the back of Main Street and of campus below. These 5 lounges will hopefully be a spot for research teams to collaborate too.
Lots of social spaces, a lot of open spaces, with the idea that we're trying to get folks and scientists out of the research lab where, they're going to talk to each other and exchange ideas and talk about techniques and latest findings, because that's how you really push science forward.
The building's price tag came out to a hefty $180 million. But the main question on everyone's mind still remains unanswered. There's still no official name.
We do not have a name yet. We've had folks kind of weigh in on some ideas, right? But we do not have a name yet that we have all been able to agree on.
For now, Building X will continue to be Building X, and while it's currently open to the public for classes, research, and student study sessions, the official ribbon-cutting ceremony is tomorrow, April 17th, for a night of celebrating this incredible facility. Reporting for 49 News, I'm Casey Nyman.
Avelo Airlines, the only airline to fly out of the Wilmington airport, is facing backlash after agreeing to carry out deportation flights in cooperation with ICE. The airline will carry out these deportations using 3 of the airline's Boeing 737s out of the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport in Arizona. A spokesperson for the airline says it's not the first time Avelo has carried out deportation flights, as they did the same during the Biden administration. So far, over 30,000 people have signed onto a pledge to boycott the airline. Earlier today, University of Delaware students and local residents organized a protest following the news that 8 UD international students had their visas revoked. This news follows a nationwide trend across college campuses in the U.S. as Donald Trump continues to target immigrants. Our 49 News reporter Casey Nyman went to get a firsthand look at the local rally.
Earlier this Wednesday afternoon, on April 16th, the University of Delaware campus was crowded with posters and chanting shouts for an organized emergency walkout with the theme of Stand Up for International Students. Behind me, you'll see that University of Delaware students and Newark residents have gathered here at Old College to protest the Trump administration and the recent 8 UD students whose visas were revoked. Just last week, many students were shocked and disheartened to learn the news that 8 of their fellow Blue Hens who were UD-sponsored visa holders had their visas terminated by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Today, these students, along with supporters from the local UD and Newark community, rallied together to voice their concerns.
We're here first as a show of solidarity for these international students, to let them know that they're an integral part of our community and we want them to know that. And we're also here to demonstrate to the University of Delaware administration that their response to these visa revocations has been lacking and we want to see more from them.
The 8 students included 3 current students and 5 former students who were on what is called post-graduation optical practical training work authorization. Allegedly, the federal government gave UD no advanced warning of this decision. And this is not just unique to Delaware's campus. Across the country, U.S. colleges have reported international students' visas being revoked after the Trump administration continues to crack down on immigration.
Thursday night, we were sitting in my apartment getting the news in before the university had said something, and just feeling like I was going to rip my hair out, like everyone was acting like this is normal, but we know this is not normal. And if the university isn't going to step up and do something, then it falls to us as students to organize around this, and it's come together a lot faster and a lot bigger than we ever expected. And I think that's a testament to how this is at the front of everyone's mind and really concerning for a lot of people here on campus and in the greater Newark community.
The protest was organized by the members of the Young Democratic Socialists of America at UD, who felt the situation was not being addressed by the university. Across the campus, signs, posters, and makeshift notebook messages were held high. 5th-year Bennett Gentile came prepared with his own personally designed graphic.
I'm here today because students from other countries come to UD to get an education, and they're entitled to that education, and it shouldn't be stolen from them. And so my classmates in particular who are from foreign countries are no threat. It's the people who are coming in and acting violent and aggressive and hostile towards them that are the real threat.
Many suspect that those who are having their visas revoked had past run-ins with law enforcement, but there is currently no concrete reason known as to why the UD students were targeted. A UD statement said, quote, "It is not aware of any UD community members being arrested or detained, and there's no awareness of a federal law enforcement presence on campus related to the situation." Across the crowds, there were whispers of more protests to be organized throughout this upcoming week. Reporting for 49 News, I'm Casey Nyman.
On top of today's protest, 2 weekends ago, thousands of Newarkers flooded the streets to join in a nationwide protest against Trump. The protest was part of a nationwide effort. More than 1,200 demonstrations were planned by more than 150 groups. Lisa Jerememka, who helped organize the Newark protest, estimated that 3,000 to 5,000 people participated. Indivisible, the group that planned the event, said they will continue to hold protests twice a month in Newark. The second one this month will be held on April 19th at 1 p.m. in front of the Ogletown Post Office. For more political news happening in the United States and beyond, Michael Stoll has our political update.
A potential constitutional crisis is brewing in Washington, D.C. over the Maryland man wrongly deported to El Salvador. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a legal resident of the United States, was granted asylum in 2019 after an immigration judge barred him from being deported back to El Salvador. Because of the fears he might be subject to persecution on arrival, even though the administration acknowledges that Garcia's deportation was the result of an administrative error, the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that the administration must start making efforts to return Garcia to the United States. No effort has been made from the White House, as they claim it is out of their discretion now because he is in a foreign country. The president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, a staunch ally of Donald Trump, also claims that he cannot just send Garcia back because those actions would be illegal. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen traveled today to El Salvador for talks with government officials to secure Garcia's release. The White House claims over 75 countries have reached out to start trade talks, following Trump's announcement of widespread universal tariffs on the majority of countries and subsequent pause for 90 days on imposing those tariffs. Vice President Vance says the U.S. and UK are close to a deal, while talks with the European Union have seemingly fallen apart. China, the country with the highest rate of tariffs, at 145%, has retaliated with a 125% tariff on all American goods entering their country. A tariff of 25% is currently in effect on all vehicles entering the United States. However, Trump has hinted that he may exempt car parts from those tariffs. Over 22,000 IRS employees have offered to resign as part of the Trump administration's efforts to size down the federal workforce. The IRS, which provides tax services and federal tax enforcement, is on pace to lose 1/3 of its workforce by year's end. On top of the 22,000 who have now offered to resign, 5,000 have already done so, while an additional 7,000 employees were laid off. There are some concerns that the decrease in workforce will embolden tax evasion and decrease the effectiveness of audits completed by the IRS. The Trump administration announced Monday that they were going to freeze $2.2 billion in grants to Harvard University as a result of the university rejecting the administration's demands for policy changes at the school. The demands given to Harvard were to end all DEI programs, banning masks on campus, merit-based hiring and admission reforms, as well as limit the power faculty and administrators have over the university. Several Harvard faculty members have filed a lawsuit for a temporary restraining order on the removal of the federal funds, with one professor calling the president's moves nothing short of authoritarian. In Ukraine, the country saw its deadliest civilian casualty day since 2023 on Palm Sunday. 2 ballistic missiles struck the eastern city of Sumy, killing 34 civilians and injuring 117 more. The latest bombardment comes after the Trump administration has attempted to bring both sides to the negotiating table. The administration previously halted all aid to Ukraine after a fiery exchange with Ukrainian President Zelensky in the Oval Office, but has since restarted the aid. While Trump touts his friendship with Russia and the incentive to restart the economic cooperation as a reason for them to come to the negotiation table. However, Russia has shown no strong evidence that it has increased in a ceasefire at the moment. That's all the political updates I have for you tonight. I'm Michael Stoll.
Another Main Street restaurant bites the dust. The fairly new 322 BBQ restaurant, which was a mix of breakfast, BBQ, and massive donuts, opened earlier this school year in the fall, but has officially closed its doors. Despite having 2 other successful spots, one in Wilmington and one in Mullica Hill, it seems Newark wasn't the right fit. This once again leaves a Stone Balloon spot empty, which originally closed its doors in December of 2023. This past Thursday, 41-year-old Aspire Academy employee accidentally shot himself in the leg in front of students. The gun was concealed in his waistband, and police say it was discharged unintentionally due to how it was being handled. The employee was taken to the hospital for further treatment, and nobody else was harmed from the incident. However, the employee, whose name has not been released, was not authorized to carry a gun on school grounds, and Aspira is waiting until the investigation runs its course before taking further action.
China has officially launched an anti-monopoly investigation into the Chinese subsidiary of DuPont, a Delaware-based company. Following the news, DuPont's stock dropped nearly 13%, hitting a 52-week low. While Chinese authorities have not released further details, the investigation could deal a significant blow to the company. In 2024, DuPont generated approximately $2.345 billion in revenue from China, accounting for 1/5 of its total sales. This development coincides with China's announcement that it will ban shipments from Mount Ayr Farms in Millsboro, Delaware. The timing adds another layer of uncertainty to President Trump's evolving stance on tariffs and trade policy toward China. With tariffs now exceeding 100% on certain Chinese goods and new duties on imports from Canada, Mexico, and the EU, President Trump's aggressive trade agenda is raising eyebrows across the globe. Emily Madison has a closer look.
Tariffs are basically a tax, and it's a government saying to other governments or countries, when you bring things into this country, somebody will pay a tax, 10%, 20%, 50%, 100%, to our government.
President Donald Trump declared April 2nd, 2025, Liberation Day. Reciprocal tariffs of at least 10% were imposed on imports from about 90 nations and apply to everything going into the U.S. This is what UD students have to say.
I think they're unnecessary at times, especially now, given the circumstances of the war.
I think they're okay. Long term, I think they're not a horrible idea, but currently, no, definitely not.
These tariffs are certainly causing a splash in the news, so one has to wonder how they're being calculated.
So the U.S. is calculating tariffs so far in a very fluctuating manner. There was the crazy and now infamous chart that was shown at the White House, which basically people figured out was a calculation of what's the ratio of imports to exports with your country. Let's only look at products, not at services. Let's divide that by 2, and let's call that a reciprocal tariff.
Evidently, everyone has differing opinion about these tariffs. But just because some people are stressed doesn't mean you have to worry yet.
Generally, they can be a useful tool for the government. I think the current use of them isn't the best.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they do have benefits, but I just don't think they're being used correctly right now.
So I think what's important for us right now is we have to look at our own actions. One, I would tell you, stay calm. This is going to go on for days, weeks. There's going to be tweets, memes. There's going to be all kinds of things happening all the time. Try not to buy too much into it. Try to think long term. So there's personal things we can be doing. We can stand up. I think we need to listen to each other, and we need to really think about different points of view before we come to our own. But then I think we need to vote. I think we need to express our opinions politely and empathetically and be open to other ideas. But it's not a time to hide and wait for this to all blow over. It is a time to think critically and maintain your head and act according to what you believe.
SEPTA service in Delaware may be eliminated as early as this summer if Pennsylvania lawmakers fail to pass a new funding plan. The transit agency's proposed budget would slash 45% of service and raise fares by over 20%, citing a lack of permanent state support. SEPTA's Wilmington-Newark line, which carries about 4,300 riders weekly, is on the chopping block, despite Delaware's annual $10.6 million investment in the service. Officials warn that without legislative action, the cuts could begin dismantling public transit in the Philadelphia region.
This past Monday, Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket launched the first all-female flight crew since 1963 into space. On board included Katy Perry, Gayle King, Jerry Ann Flynn, Lauren Sanchez, and Amanda Gwen, as well as Aisha Bowie. Public perception on the mission has been mixed, with some celebrating it as a milestone for women in space, while others have called it a publicity stunt. Regardless of opinion, those on board expressed their positive feelings on the experience, and Perry has planned to write a song about the voyage. As students near graduation, one pressing question emerges. How well does UD equip them for their professional careers? I went to get students' thoughts. Through the Career Center in collaboration with academic departments, UD gives students flexible, opt-in tools to explore careers throughout their college experience, from one-on-one career coaching to interactive self-assessments, workshops, and curated Canvas modules. The university empowers students to reflect, plan, and take action. The university offers a variety of resources for students to launch their career path, but do students actually utilize them? Even with all the resources that UD offers, some students were still not shy expressing their opinion about how they felt on career readiness.
I know there's definitely a few, especially for like, I don't know if this counts like for study abroad, and then there's, I know there's a career path for like business majors to get their, to do like internships during the summer. So I know there's definitely career paths for that. I don't know specifically, but one of my roommates is a business major, and she's doing an internship from UD in the city this summer. So do have for education majors is 4+1, and if you're doing a dual major, like a concentration, so I am doing elementary education and special education, you get the +1 year where you can get your master's in a year after you do your undergrad for 4 years. So for my career path, those are like ways that they can provide it, that UD provides.
I have been to the career fairs, I've been to networking and internship fairs that are made specifically for my major.
Whether it's through class presentations, student organizations, or peer leadership roles, UD students develop crucial skills like communication and collaboration. Career support doesn't end at graduation. Recent alumni can still access appointments, resources, and events to help them navigate their early career moves. While not all students feel fully prepared to make career decisions the right way, the University of Delaware offers structured support to guide them throughout the process. With access to resources, experimental learning, and ongoing opportunities for skill development, students are equipped to explore career paths and transition confidently into the professional world. For 49 News, I'm Casey Hampshire.
In the early morning hours of last Sunday, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and his family were awakened to pounding knocks on their front door from authorities. The home had been set on fire, leaving significant damage to their home, but all were able to evacuate safely, including multiple pets, children, and other family members who had been spending Passover with them. Cody Balmer has been charged with attempted criminal homicide, aggravated assault, burglary, terrorism, and other counts in connection with his attack on the governor's mansion. The attack has raised concerns on the safety of government officials and has many politicians installing extra security measures. The Federal Aviation Agency has shut down a helicopter tour company following a fatal crash into the Hudson River. The tour had a Spanish family of 5 and the pilot on board. And unfortunately, there were no survivors. New York helicopter tours are a popular tourist activity. Looking over the New York City skyline, many of these companies have faced scrutiny over if they really are safe. The FAA has stated they will be reviewing more of these helicopter tour companies in the future to ensure the safety of tourists and people visiting New York. Registration has started at the University of Delaware, but what are students taking? Emma Schneider has more.
Spring has sprung, and with the end of a semester looming over students' heads, there is also class registration. A stressful time for students having to pick what classes they will take for the following semester and if their required courses fit together.
I always have to beg my advisor to help me, so.
Many students share sentiments that they struggle to get a reach on advisors and end up with classes they don't want.
It's really hard. I feel like the advisors don't help at all.
With some students sharing they don't have an advisor at all.
Yeah, I also don't have an advisor, so it's just a whole disaster.
Although some students made it seem all gloomy, there were students who got lucky.
I do, definitely. I've been really lucky with that, but I'm in the honors college and I had a lot of extra credits, so I always got it first, but a lot of my friends had a lot of trouble with that, so it's definitely a problem on campus, I would say.
Class registration is a hectic time for all, but instead of just focusing on the negative, I went out to see what the most easy and fun classes at UD are.
Most students' favorite classes revolved around their majors.
I really liked the event management class that I took because that's like something I'm really passionate about, and I was able to learn a lot of the class that I didn't know about the industry.
I would probably say my introduction to entrepreneurship class. I'm an entrepreneurship minor, and that was a really creative class, and I got to meet a lot of people in it for sure.
And with some being major related, there was a few surprises.
Food Principles Laboratory, yeah, and Vita Nova.
Biolab.
With some of these favorite classes definitely not being the easiest, I asked around for some easy recommendations.
It was called Appreciation of Music, about the Beatles.
I would probably say I took English, I want to say 260, 265, and it was just like a film class that you had to write a couple essays for.
Probably, I would say Com 245, which is communication and media, and all we talked about was silly little TikToks.
Hopefully some of these class recommendations can work for some students watching our show tonight. For 49 News, I'm Emma Schneider.
Thank you for joining us for the third show of the season.
Come back for our finale to the season on May 7th. Same time, same place. I'm Michael Stoll.
And I'm Casey Hampshire. Stay safe tonight, Newark.